Hello, and welcome to the Terrestrial and Biological Resources episode in the Resource Explainer video series for the proposed Delta Conveyance Project Draft Environmental Impact Report, or EIR, where we break down the contents of various chapters in the document. I'm Catherine Marquez, and I'm a program manager for the Department of Water Resources. I am the Delta Conveyance Project lead for Terrestrial Resources. This video describes Chapter 13 of the Draft Environmental Impact Report for the Delta Conveyance Project. Our focus is on plants and wildlife and their habitats, also known as terrestrial biological resources. We will provide a few key highlights here, rather than a full summary. The draft EIR, which is now available for public review and comment, was prepared to comply with the requirements of the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA. The document evaluates a range of alternatives to the proposed project, which are all analyzed at the same level of detail. Chapter 13 describes existing conditions for terrestrial biological resources and analyzes any impacts on these species or their habitats that could result from construction, operations, or maintenance of the project. This includes an evaluation of any conflicts with local natural resource protection plans or ordinances. The chapter also identifies measures to reduce the effects of any potentially significant impacts. A potential impact refers to a change from the existing baseline condition that could result from the project or each project alternative. Mitigation refers to actions that are meant to avoid, minimize, or compensate for an identified impact. The agency must adopt all feasible mitigation as part of project approval. We selected plants and animal species for analysis in coordination with state and federal wildlife agencies, including the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. They were selected based on their importance, vulnerability, and potential to be affected by construction, operations, and maintenance activities under the project alternatives. The habitats evaluated include different types of tidal and non-tidal waters, wetlands, vernal pools, grasslands, riverbanks, and riparian areas, which are the vegetated areas along riverbanks. To establish the types of plants, animals, and habitats present in the project study area, a substantial effort was made to collect and consolidate publicly available datasets, including vegetation maps, soil maps, mapped wetlands, topographic data, crop data, species occurrence data, and available survey data. We do not currently have access to survey most land in the study area, but considered previous survey data from geographically overlapping efforts. We then created habitat suitability models for these species based on their life history characteristics. Potential impacts to a total of 38 plants, 75 animals, and 8 different habitats were evaluated. Some examples of impacts would be the loss of habitat and noise or visual disturbances. For the Terrestrial Biological Resources chapter, ways to avoid and minimize impacts include using modeled habitat to inform where species surveys would take place, conducting surveys, limits to work seasons and time of day, speed limits, avoidance buffers, and exclusion fencing, and biological monitors. The design also includes siting most facilities in previously disturbed areas, a minimal number of construction hubs, and undergrounding power supplies in sensitive areas. Undergrounding of power supplies needed for the project, or the placement of power lines in the same vertical plane as existing lines, is focused within the geographic range of greater sandhill crane. As sandhill cranes are fully protected species, the effort to underground power helps to meet these strict protected status requirements. The draft EIR finds potential impacts to plants, wildlife, and habitat to be less than significant after mitigation is applied for all alternatives. The types of mitigation identified include conservation banks, conservation easements, habitat protection, and habitat creation programs. The Bethany alternative shows the fewest impacts of all alternatives, in large measure because it connects directly to Bethany Reservoir and avoids the need to construct a new forebay near the existing Clifton Court forebay. If you would like to review the draft EIR or this chapter in particular, please visit www.deltaconveyanceproject.com. Comments on the draft EIR can be submitted by email, regular mail, verbally at a public hearing, or through our website. Your comments will be considered, and all substantive comments will be responded to in the final EIR. Thanks for watching.